Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It is 8:07 on O'Connor and Company this Halloween morning. We hope you're having a good one. And it should be a nice day and through the evening for trick-or-treating tonight or whatever it is you're doing. Coming up in 30 minutes, we're going to speak with the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Congressman Jim Jordan. I saw that press conference from his counterpart, Chuck Grassley, in the Senate, and Ted Cruz specifically calling on Judge Boasberg to be impeached. And I said to Heather Hunter, we've got to get Jordan on this show because that sort of thing should happen in the House, and he's got the committee. We should talk about that and everything else we've learned about Arctic frost and what the next steps should be. That's all coming up. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. What are your beautiful, just disturbingly darling, adorable children dressing as for Halloween this year?
Well, one is an invisible man. And the other is a robot. All homemade costumes this year, folks. I literally just kissed them goodbye as they walked out of the door. So
the robot I can picture, especially, by the way, there was a robot yesterday at the White House, and Trump put the candy bar on the head.
On the top of his head.
That's hilarious, just like he did with the Minion a few years ago. But how do you do the invisible man? I mean, that's like, how do you make somebody invisible?
He is invisible. I'm going to post it. It is very funny. Follow me at Patrice Pinkfile on X. But yes, we researched it. We put some time and effort in, and we will see if they win the vocabulary parade at school today.
All right, very exciting, and we'll look for you. And your costume is absolutely terrifying, by the way.
I know.
Patrice's
a soccer ball.
Yeah.
A stadium cup and a side armchair, a collapsible chair.
Patrice is dressed as a DC area soccer mom, and they do send a shiver up my spine, actually. Thank you so much for bringing your costume to the table as well. So here's something scary, Bill Kristol. I don't know what I honestly am at a loss for words at this point. Every time I see something that Bill Kristol says politically, I have to stop and think, wait, that can't be true. That's a fake account. That's AI. That's the Babylon Bee messing with me. Yeah. Bill Kristol, former chief of staff of Dan Quayle during the Bush 41 administration, then Fox News analyst, Fox News television host, founder of the Weekly Standard, and thought leader in the conservative movement for so long, right up until voters didn't listen to him and instead decided to support Donald Trump. And since then, he's never forgiven any of us. No. He's decided to be that anti-Trumpism is more important than pro-conservatism. And I'm not overstating the case. And I know there are a lot of people who think, oh, no. Bill Kristol and Dave French and Jonah Goldberg, they're the real true conservatives. It's all the Trump people have gone over the edge. But they're still there. I mean, after all, he founded a thing called the Bulwark. The Bulwark is supposed to be the defense, the protection to push against all of the people who were trying to destroy the conservative movement. But they're the last real conservatives. Well, then you'll have to explain this to me. Bill Kristol yesterday publicly said that he would vote for Zohran Mamdani if he were in New York right now. Zohran, how in any universe are you the protector of conservative principles and values, as Bill Kristol still claims to be, I think, despite the fact that he's against the Second Amendment, and he's against enforcing immigration laws, and he's against the pro-life movement, and
against
has
police, law enforcement,
endorsed and supported Democrats who propped up the anti-law enforcement agenda and other agendas over the years, was against the bombing of the Iran nuclear facilities, on and on and on, all the things that he said he was for. Now, the protector and defender and the bulwark protecting the conservative movement in America would vote for, at best, a Democrat socialist, but in reality a communist. Patrice, I'm at a loss.
You can't make it make sense to me either, Larry. I just, other than, he says going back to Cuomo would be ridiculous. In I think this was reported in the Washington Post or something like that. I just think that there are some, conservatives who they don't have a place to go. I think they've backed themselves into such a corner that they don't even know what they really truly believe anymore. I mean, how could you back Mamdani over Curtis Sliwa? And yes, we all understand that Curtis Sliwa is a moonshot at this point, and probably going to be a spoiler in the New York City election, but he's at least a conservative. Why Mamdani, unless you have some other ulterior motives, you don't know what your North Star is, what your moral compass is anymore. And sadly, I think we've seen that with some conservatives. I mean, certainly there are a lot of populist conservatives under the tent right now, and they would embrace a big government perspective more than a lot of fiscal conservatives would like. But Mamdani is not a social populist conservative in that way. He is totally about the government owning every part of the private sector and then meting out to us, underlings, whatever the government decides for us to have. That is absolutely off the deep end. And for you to embrace that, you probably maybe never were a conservative, or you just your Trump scrambled you somehow that you can't put yourself back together again.
I think it's the latter. Well, I think it could be a little of both, I suppose. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to imagine that someone really believed their position on the life issue, and then has reversed course. That I understand people who were pro-choice or pro-abortion, then sort of maturing in their view of those things and flipping on that issue to become pro-life. That makes sense to me. How you can be pro-life and believe that you're protecting the unborn and then reach a conclusion saying, oh, you know what, that's not an unborn child anymore. I've changed my mind on that. That I don't get. And that's what Bill Kristol has done. To me, I see somebody do that and I think, oh, so you never really believed that in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's remarkable about this, though, with regard to Mamdani being an enthusiast for jihad, who has actually said globalize the intifada, number one, and then number two, being an actual, I mean, he's not a Democrat. He's a Democrat socialist, if not a communist, because he goes further than the Democrat Socialist Party. He wants the city of New York to take over the means of production and control of distribution of like grocery stores and the public transit and housing. I mean, that's beyond, right? The irony here is that Bill Kristol, the son of Irving Kristol, personified at one time in his life what was known as the neoconservative movement that had been sort of a traditional anti-communist liberal who then, when Reagan came in and was so forceful against the Soviet Union, they basically aligned with Reagan. And the crux of that was anti-communism. And part of that anti-communism was also rooted in the defense of the State of Israel. So when you take those two pillars of the neoconservative movement, anti-communism and defense of Israel, and you're now the face of that movement, Bill Kristol, and you're endorsing Zohran Mamdani, you have no principles left. You just don't.
There's nothing for you to stand on. It's disappointing because I think he could have carved out a lane for himself even in a new era of where the Conservative Party, which you conservatives have for generations have said we want to be a big tent. It is now a massive tent, and yet he could have had a lane, and I think he pulled himself out of that lane, of any kind of lane he could have had, and I think it discredits him. I mean, it makes you wonder, obviously, about everything that he's written or said in the past, and certainly doesn't endear him any more to the left and to the Mamdanis of this world. They're not going to embrace him, so he's going to find himself out on an island by himself.
Well, there has been speculation about who is funding his enterprise, the various think tanks that he now, or nonprofit 501c3s that he heads up, as well as the Bulwark itself. And if you look at the content of the Bulwark, it is there's nothing conservative about it anymore. Fascinating. That's speculation. Who knows? But one should at least recognize that they have lost all moral high ground that they tried to capture and tried to maintain. as being those the ones who claimed that those of us who were conservatives who ended up embracing President Trump, that we are the ones who have betrayed our principles and values. I think that we can put to rest that argument. Coming up, more on Zoran Mamdani, some things that he said in the past that have been uncovered, and things that he's saying right now that he plans to do should he win the election this Tuesday.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
In Israel, they're finding something to laugh at with regard to the next mayor of New York, should the polls be correct. Zoran Mamdani, the globalized, the intifada person who promised to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu when he comes to New York to speak to the United Nations. Arrest him for war crimes, Zoran Mamdani has said.
Goodness.
What a crumb. Well, the SNL of Israeli television, it's called, Channel 12's Eretz Nehedret, for the bad Hebrew pronunciation. They have a Zoran Mamdani character, and they've been doing, and these are highly effective. I saw one of these videos go by, and I thought, is that really Zoran? And then I looked at it.
It looks like him.
It does. He does a good job. In here, take a listen. This is cut 10.
Hi, I'm Zoran Mamdani, candidate for mayor of New York City. To my Jewish friends and neighbors, shalom. Let me start by wishing you all a happy new year, or as you say in Hebrew, intifada tova.
Cut! It's Shana Tova. You said intifada.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it again.
And action.
Hey, to all my Jewish New Yorkers, tonight we celebrate Rosh Hashanah with a festive family dinner and dance joyfully to the beloved song, Jihada, Nagil Jihad.
Cut!
Oh, my gosh.
I'm pretty sure it's Hava Nagila.
Oh, of course.
Action!
I want to reassure you, I embrace all cultures. I love bagels, and I also love Hamas.
Hummus.
Hummus.
Oh, my gosh.
That's actually
funny.
Yikes.
That's actually really effective.
It is, and it's listen, consider it's dark humor in Israel. Considering the Israelis are watching jokes about supporting Hamas, considering the aftermath of October 7th and everything that has transpired, that they can find humor in it.
You know, Larry, I hope that there is their Jewish brothers and sisters in New York City who might be bought in on this guy. Get that their wool is being pulled over their eyes. They need to wake up that a D next to his name does not make him an ally.
Yeah. Well, I sadly, I think that secular Jews in New York and worldwide, really, who have embraced leftist politics over the actual scriptural faith of the Jewish people, in fact, will be just fine with Zoran Mamdani, because they're more aligned with socialist policies and politics than they are with the actual faith identity. I'm not Jewish. I'm not one to judge, but it seems to me that the more seriously you take the faith, the more conservative you are.
Yep.
With regard to that, and by the way, this is really interesting insight. Here's Zoran Mamdani. He's been packaged. He's always in the same kind of suit. He's always got this really, and it's an infectious smile. He really, know who else smiled a lot? So did Mao Zedong. So did Joseph Stalin. You always see a smile on his face. There's smiling. Fidel Castro, super fun guys, really charismatic, like Zoran Mamdani, and always wearing his suit. Well, here's a video that has now been released by the New York Post showing a different Zoran Mamdani months before he announced for mayor. This is actually months before October 7th. He's dressed in an outfit that looks more like traditional Muslim garb. He's got a very bushy beard instead of the nice Western trim that he sports now. And here he was out in front of a, I think it's a Jewish think tank in New York. Take a listen.
So who is ready to end the exception? I want to hear you say, not on our dime! Not on our dime!
Not on our dime, not on our dime. This is at the top of his lungs, screaming like a maniac on the streets. It was in front of a charity group. Excuse me, it wasn't a think tank. It is a Israeli-aligned charity that helps people in Israel who are destitute and starving. He doesn't care about people. He cares about jihad. And that's what he was.
All he was missing is the keffiyeh, Larry.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that was missing from his outfit that day. Maybe he took it off because it was a little warm. He is the perfect example of how they can take a rough penny and shine it up, and because they can put two words together and get social media attention, like AOC, then suddenly they become the poster child for the party, and people are so blinded by what seems like a perfectly crafted image that they miss what these folks are saying and what they're not saying and what they're willing to usher in once they grab power.
I can only say and affirm what I've said almost my entire adult life, and certainly my public life, that I loathe the opposition to the state of Israel and the people here in America who give voice to the terrorists who would slaughter innocent people because of their religion and their ethnicity and their identity. I am proud to say that I am a Christian Zionist. It's 8:24.
All right, coming up, we're going to have Representative Jim Jordan here to give us the lowdown on Congress. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 8:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
8:37. Happy Halloween. It's Larry O'Connor and Patrice Onwuka. Happy Halloween, Patrice.
To you, too. Happy Spooky Friday, everybody.
Thank you. Coming up in 30 minutes, we're going to hand it off to Christopher Plant for the Chris Plant Show. But right now, we're joined by the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, the fine gentleman from Ohio, Jim Jordan. Chairman Jordan, thanks for joining us. Chairman Jordan?
Hello.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I'm here now. Oh, yeah.
Your counterpart over in the Senate, Chuck Grassley, your good friend, had quite a presentation earlier this week about Arctic frost. And during that, I heard Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, who had his phones tapped and attempts by Jack Smith to go after his office phone even. You know, AT&T actually apparently understands the Constitution better than Biden's DOJ. Ted Cruz had this to say.
I am right now calling on the House of Representatives to impeach Judge Boasberg. Judge Boasberg put his robe down, stood up and said, sign me up to be part of the partisan vendetta against 20% of the Republicans in the Senate.
I know there's a lot to Arctic frost that you guys are unpacking, but with regard to Judge Boasberg's participation here, do you agree with Senator Cruz that the House should take this up?
Judge Boasberg, it's not the first time Judge Boasberg's done something that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to, I think, a lot of Americans. So we got every option on the table. We'll look at it. You know, historically, you don't impeach judges for bad decisions. You impeach them if they've engaged in some, like, you know, they were drunk on the job or they weren't showing up to work or something like that. And the Judiciary Committee has dealt with that. This is a little different, but this is when you look at this entire operation, what they were doing, what Jack Smith, what the Justice Department was doing to what looks like just their political opponents. It is serious. So everything will be on the table. We'll look. But what we really want is
Chairman Jordan, when you say this is a little different, I mean, I'll reiterate. AT&T said no, that's against the Constitution. Judge Boasberg said yes. Is that not impeachable?
It may be, and we're gonna look at all this as we move forward. As you know, one of the first things we want to do is bring Jack Smith in. But we want all the documents and information. We've already deposed two of his lieutenants, Mr. Bratz, Mr. Wyndham, and they took the fifth 71 and 73 times respectively. And they took the fifth to questions like, was this a political operation designed to harm President Trump, this whole special counsel? I take the fifth. How many other members of the United States Congress did you surveil? Because we knew at the time they had surveilled 8 United States senators. I take the fifth to that question. So we want to ask Jack Smith some questions. We want to get him in for his deposition, and we're working on that as we speak.
Well, Chairman Jordan, so to that last question you'd asked of him, of his lieutenants, how many people have been targeted? And now this list has been expanded to, 160 individuals who are part of Republicans, whether members of Congress or outside of that, working in, the Trump administration previously. What can the American people expect to come from these investigations? I mean, I think there are people who want to see heads roll or someone serve some time, but what's realistic here?
Well, that's up to the Justice Department, but in a related matter, we referred Mr. Brennan because we think Mr. Brennan wasn't square with the United States Congress. I've said many times that you're not supposed to lie, but you're definitely not supposed to lie when you're under oath talking to Congress, and that's exactly what it looks like Mr. Brennan did. And we don't do many of these referrals. We only do it when it's truly warranted, and we believe someone was obstructing our investigation and lying to us, and that's what we think happened with Mr. Brennan. And we know that because Tulsi Gabbard had declassified a report from the House Intelligence Committee from a few years ago, which directly contradicts what Mr. Brennan told us under oath. He said that he wasn't involved with the dossier. Dossier wasn't used in the intelligence community assessment, and that's just not the truth. In fact, in the declassified report, there's a story that's related where a CIA official confronts Mr. Brennan and says, Mr. Brennan, this dossier doesn't hold up. We shouldn't include it in the intelligence community assessment. There's no underlying intelligence to support it. And Brennan's response was, but doesn't it ring true? I think displaying his motive, what he was trying to do to President Trump. And that's the same, I think, dynamic in play with this other investigation. It's Artie Cross and Jack Smith and his team. They were out to get their political opponents. Think about this. Dan Scavino, amazing guy. He does the media, did all the social media for President Trump. They got his bank records. I mean, what are you doing? That's how ridiculous this was. 100 and some different subpoenas to individuals, entities, getting bank records, documents, communications. That's how this, as Senator Grassley said, that's what this fishing expedition was really doing.
You call it a fishing expedition. I just want to drill down on that because most Americans naively believe that when the FBI goes to investigate someone, they're aware that a crime is being committed, and then they're looking to follow the evidence to see who the suspects in that crime might be. Here, everyone says, it was insurrection. Well, no one was ever even charged with insurrection. Even Donald Trump, when Jack Smith tried to indict him, he didn't indict him on insurrection. So this appears as though this was straight out of Stalin's playbook. That show me the man and I'll show you the crime. Do you have any evidence, any documentation that you've seen so far that shows a predicate for a criminal investigation that Christopher Wray and the FBI conducted here?
No, this is in the aftermath of January 6th. This is again, it seems to me, and I think Senator Grassley was right in his assessment, a fishing expedition designed to go look at your Republican opponents, your political opponent, what they viewed as their political opponents, and to get information on them. And the net was cast really wide. Like I said, media companies and think tanks and individuals that so some of the individuals I thought were never Trumpers when I saw some of the names go by. And understand the history of that. So Artie Cross starts. Jack Smith gets named special counsel. Then that all shifts under Jack Smith's special counsel investigation. This is the same Jack Smith who went and got a gag order on President Trump. This is the same Jack Smith who raided Mar-a-Lago. This is the same Jack Smith where two of his deputies took the fifth when they were in front of us. This is the same Jack Smith who those deputies who came to work for him were also the ones who took Scott Perry's phone. A sitting member of Congress took his phone. This is the same Jack Smith investigation where they said to a lawyer for one of the defendants, hey, we didn't know you were a Trump guy. We thought you were interested in this federal judge position. I mean, almost like a veiled threat or a bribe kind of offer being done there. So that's all the history of this guy. And now we learn how pervasive, how obnoxious this whole thing was. And I say this all the time because I've been involved in a lot of these investigations on Capitol Hill. The one thing we always get wrong at the start of these investigations is it is always worse than we thought. It is always worse than we thought. And now we're seeing that as clear as day.
One last question, because the headlines right now is that Jim Jordan has threatened to subpoena Jack Smith. Sounds to me like it's not a threat. You intend to subpoena Jack Smith. Do you also intend to subpoena the other people who were named as architects of Arctic Frost, including Christopher Wray, Lisa Monaco, and Merrick Garland?
We'll look at all that, but we're right now we're focused on Jack Smith because as I said, we've already deposed 2 of his deputies, and I talked about some of their testimony. So the way this normally works is you first ask him to come in, then you want to get certain documents, you want to get certain information before you have him in. But yeah, we will go to a subpoena if we have to get Mr. Smith in because we want to talk to him.
First, it's a formal invitation, and then a subpoena. Got it. All right. Do you handwrite those, or do you have people who do that?
Oh, we have a staff, but I have to sign them. Yeah.
All right. Good. You don't use the auto pen?
I do not. I use a blue pen that I sign. Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman Jordan. Have a good Halloween.
Chairman.
Appreciate you joining us as always.
Take care.
It's 8:45 WMAL.
Mark Levin, weekdays 6 till 9 on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Last night was the trick-or-treat night at the White House, and it looked beautiful. The First Lady looked beautiful, and the President, despite his worldwide tour and just flying back from Asia, he was spry and energetic and mischievous.
Yes.
As he once again, he repeated history, the iconic moment where he set the candy bar on the head of the Minion back in 2019. Somebody came dressed as a robot. The parents had to be trolling for this. They had to be. The robot had like a flat head, sort of bucket head.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
And once again, he put the candy bar on top of the robot's head.
And as you pointed out earlier, it's the full candy bars. I will not be. I can't afford to be giving out full candy bars, but this is President Trump in the White House.
They don't do the fun size there, not in Trump land.
No, it's full size.
Beautiful. Also, a lot of kids came dressed as Trump, which is kind of funny. Little boys. And one young lady dressed up as Melania, which is kind of cool.
Ooh, I've got to find her look.
But the winner of the costumes, this was creative. And I think this was a former staffer who is now a new mom. Her child is like a toddler. The child was in a wagon, and the mom was pushing the wagon. And they dressed up the wagon as a McDonald's drive-through. They
went all out on this one.
That's impressive.
It took a lot of thought. That might be what we do next year. It's very hilarious.
And it reminded everyone to think that just a year ago, Donald Trump was just working the drive-through window and serving fries at a McDonald's, and now he's president of the United States.
Only in America.
It's 8:53.